power. On the heels of the president's controversial action on immigration, which is pretty much amnesty for 5 million illegal immigrants, he's now threatening to use the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, my favorite bureau, to ban certain kinds of bullets. Bullets, because, you know, they're evil. Is the president misusing his power to get around an unfriendly Congress? Joining us now is Jeannie Zaino, a political science professor at Iona College. And from Washington, Lisa Booth, a GOP strategist. Okay, so, Jeannie, this is a familiar argument. President decides to do something on his own, and then the opposing party goes nuts. This happens no matter what the president is and no matter what the party is. It just reverses itself depending on the affiliation.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw it with Bill Clinton in '92. We saw it again with George W. Bush in 2008. And I think, interestingly, it was Barack Obama, if you remember, as a candidate who was critical of George W. Bush for exceeding his powers and, you know, promising to do something different when he got into office. But the truth is, when you're president and you are facing a party in the another party in Congress, you can't get your agenda passed. And so you look for other ways to do it. And President Obama has settled on the way that other presidents have. Executive orders, vetoes. If you remember, George W. Bush used signing statements. So it is a very common tactic, and it's common for the minority party or the opposing party to be critical. And quite frankly, it works. Look at the Republicans, how well they did in 2014, in large part because they were very critical of the president for overstepping his boundaries.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's like every candidate ends up lying. They say, I'm going to be different, but then when they become get in office, they just change. It's just like marriage. Lisa, are these executive orders any different than, say, previous presidents? Is there something different about these or more disturbing?
Well, I do think they're more disturbing because if you look at, you know, as you mentioned, with immigration specifically, I think those on the left and right would say that President Obama's decision to move forward unilaterally to undermine the rule of law, to throw away the Constitution, and also undermine the will of the American people and the strong message that they sent during the 2014 midterm elections is somewhat unprecedented in the sheer amount of people that he's granting amnesty to. I mean, it's essentially rewriting our nation's immigration laws. And what we're seeing with this banning of the ATF as well, once again, we're seeing from President Obama is, you know, circumventing Congress and really undermining the intent of Congress. Because what ATF did specifically here is they cited a bill from 30 years ago, but even the bill's sponsor stated 30 years ago that that legislation was supposed to have nothing to do with rifle ammunition. So we've seen this Obama administration, you know, mislead and, you know, I think take unprecedented action that we've not seen before from prior presidents.
Yeah, Jeannie, it's kind of like a liberal or a leftist dream that what doesn't work democratically, you use by force, or you just do on your own. Many people wanted President Obama to act like a dictator. Is he now?
Well, you know, in terms of this ATF issue, you know, I do think it is frightening, and I agree with people like Jonathan Turley who say the danger here is that you are empowering you're empowering these executive groups that are not responsive to the people, and that is a frightening proposition. You'd much rather have Congress and the president working together to pass legislation because we can throw them out of office. We can, you know, change the people in power.
But that's not what President Obama is doing here.
Yeah, but he's not doing that because he is not able to pass a legislative agenda that works. And so that has been the problem. And I agree with you, Lisa, in terms of the executive orders being more substantial than in the past. But in terms of sheer number, he has passed fewer executive orders than any president since Grover Cleveland. So the suggestion that he has been overstepping his boundaries to an extent that's greater than other presidents is simply not true if you look at the data.
All right, Lisa, last word quickly.
Well, no, but it doesn't matter. Okay, look, the reality is if you look at the sheer, not necessarily the sheer volume, but the impactfulness of his executive actions. As you had mentioned, you think President Obama has overstepped his bounds using executive action. And that's exactly what he's did. He's just granted amnesty to 5 million Americans, which is going to 5 million illegal immigrants, which is going to directly affect taxpayers and directly affect Americans.
Lisa, thank you. Thank you,